circle those words please, tore, and shaved his head, and fell down and worshipped. Now this is a dude who is a slave to Yahweh's goodness. This is somebody who needs answers and needs them quick. He's got one wife who's telling him, curse Yahweh and die. You're a loser. Your mama's a loser. Your children are no good. You smell. Take a shower because you're a loser for serving Yahweh. So in the end, what happened? Who did Yahweh justify? Yahweh justified Job. What did he do to the wife who told him to curse Yahweh and die? He removed her, and in the end, Yahweh gave Job how much? Double from what he had before. So he started out with one wife. So what happens if you take away the cursing wife and get two?
3.
Job died with how many did Job have at the end of his life?
3.
No, he had 2. He had one in the beginning, and then he died with simple math, my friend. Then Eov rose, but look at this. Look at verse 20. Eov rose, tore, shaved, fell, worshiped. Look at that progression. Tore, shave, fall, ground, hug, worship. The man knew that he had to be a proactive servant who was cutting edge, who was so cutting edge, he was even willing to cut his mantle to get answers from Yahweh. He didn't care about his clothes. He didn't care about his reputation. He didn't care how bad he would look in front of his monogamous wife who was cursing him and cursing Yahweh and told him to curse Yahweh, to join her and curse Yahweh.
Oh, wow.
He didn't care about reputation. He needed intimacy. He needed answers. And he was first and foremost a worshiper. And that's why in the end he was restored twofold.
Amen.
And he had some of the prettiest daughters in the land who became wives of some of the fairest men in the land. Nehemiah 8:6. Nehemiah. Is anyone enjoying?
Amen.
I'm talking about the doorway to revelation and intimacy. We're already saved, so now we're going to go through the next 30, 40 years, either having abundance in Yeshua or just surviving. And no matter what our circumstances are, we can worship our way out of this earthly realm and into a cloud. Not a cloud of suspicion that hangs over Drew Peterson, but a cloud of glory and a cloud of victory that will negate the circumstances and the fiery darts of this present life. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
It'll negate the fiery darts of this present world. For though our outward man is perishing, our inward man is being renewed day by day.
Amen.
How? How is our inward man renewed day by day? By being a worshiper of Yahweh. But if you're going to sit around and go, oh, I think I'll do some more research on for the 10th time this week, on the migrations of the 10 tribes of Israel. I want to try to locate the 10 tribes of Israel. So I'm going to do some more studying on the migration patterns. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
Now studying is fine, but it cannot replace worship. Knowledge is fine, but it cannot replace worship.
That's true.
You want magnification, you want revelation, worship.
That's true.
Nothing will substitute for worship. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
Nehemiah 8:6. And Ezra blessed Yahweh the great Elohim, and all the people answered, Amen, Amen.
Amen.
And they turned to him 1:15 and hurried home because the NFL game started at 2.
That might work. No.
Is that what it says?
No.
Nehemiah 8:6?
No.
Is that what it says? Watch this. Ezra, as a Kohen, was blessing Yahweh the great Elohim, and the people, unlike many today, did not just sit there. They notice, they lifted up their hands and bowed their heads and worshiped Yahweh with hands, stomachs, backsides, faces, everything in motion. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
So Ezra blessed Yahweh and led the worship, but the people were not staring at Ezra. No. While Ezra was leading, they were lifting, they were bowing, they were seeking, they were being slaves of the moment to the great king, and their faces to the ground, because he's not just Elohim, he is the great Elohim, somebody.
Amen.
We're in the presence of the great Elohim. If you were really convinced that the Ruach of Yeshua was more holier, and more kadosh than the President of the United States. Every time you come to the service, you'd be on your hands, on your knees, or you'd be standing up, lifting holy hands, eyes closed, not concerned what's going on around you, oblivious to whatever's going on around you, because you'd be convinced the king from the royal house of David was really here, and he is. He is really here in the Ruach and in Emet. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
So follow Ezra. When Ezra was ministering, the people were not staring, making sure Ezra was doing it the right way. They were actively doing what? They were actively joining Ezra and worshiping. They were involved in Seged. In the Aramaic, and Sagad in the Hebrew. Stay in Nehemiah 9:3. Nehemiah 9:3.
Yep.
Nehemiah 9:3. And they stood in their place, notice, and read in the scroll of the Torah of Yahweh their Elohim, 1/4 part of the day, another 4th part they confessed and worshiped Yahweh. Now notice, when a revival breaks out, it's not a 1-hour ordeal. When a personal, intimate revival and worship breaks out, there is reading of Torah. Notice, a fourth part. What's a 4th part of the day? What's 24 divided by 4? 6?
Mm-hmm.
So they were reading Torah for 6 hours. In our congregation, when we go past 10 minutes, some of the tochises start moving around. They were reading Torah for 6 hours. 6 hours. And another 6 hours they were confessing. Because remember what we learned before?
Yes.
Confession sometimes is the first act of worship. And repentance. That's the first act of worship. Remember?
Yep.
Notice. So when the word of Yahweh says in Nehemiah 9:3 that they were worshiping, notice, confession of faults and sins and behaviors that are contrary to the word of Yahweh is in fact worship. So they were confessing and worshiping. Notice how they go together. They weren't confessing and then started worshiping. No, the reading of Torah was worship. The confession of sins was worship. And then the worship of Yahweh continued. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
So that's from Nehemiah 9:3. Again, the message, the doorway to revelation and intimacy. Go with me to 1 Chronicles 16:29. We're going to go quickly. We're going to go quickly. I have a lot to cover. I don't know, maybe there'll be a part 3. We'll have to see. 1 Chronicles 16:29.
Oh, 29, okay.
But of course it is Shavuot. And we've only been here since 11. 1 Chronicles 16:29. Ascribe to Yahweh the Tiferet due to his name. When I hear the word ascribe, I think of writing, singing, writing songs, write things that give him glory. To his name. Bring an offering. Come before him. Worship Yahweh in the Tiferet of set apartness, the beauty of holiness. Notice, ascribe to him the glory, the Tiferet, due his name. So that's an act of worship. I ascribe to Yahweh how good he is. I ascribe to Yahweh how forgiving he is. I ascribe to Yahweh how merciful he is. I ascribe to Yahweh how forbearing he is with me. He could have snuffed me out and destroyed me so many times, but he spared me and he loved me and he walked me through those difficult trials and those difficulties in life. So that's worship. I ascribe it to Yahweh. I ascribe it to Yahweh. I ascribe it to Yahweh. Ascribe to Yahweh the Tiferet to his name, Wilbur. Bring him an offering. That's worship. Every time I tell you, when we pay our tithes, when we give Terumah offering on Chag Shavuot, that is worship. There are people out there in the audience that they still, if they sow a Shavuot Terumah act of worship and offering, it is seged. It is not money or dinero. Yahweh doesn't look at it that way. He looks at it as an act of seged. Correct. Seged. Come before him. Seged Yahweh in the beauty of his set apartness. Listen, if you worship Yahweh because he is so different and set apart, he will make you different and set apart.
Amen.